The space station Arendor hung silently in the cold vacuum between two golden suns. Its metallic surface glimmered under the twin lights, reflecting a spectrum of colors that few species had the patience to notice. Built as a neutral ground for interstellar diplomacy, it was meant to host representatives of countless intelligent civilizations, each arriving with their own customs, fears, and ambitions. Yet, for all its grandeur and purpose, nothing on the station could prepare the aliens for the arrival of humans. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Few had ever seen them up close, and those who did usually came away confused or frightened. Their appearance was deceptively simple: 2 legs, 2 arms, and a face with features that, at first glance, seemed fragile. But there was something in their eyes, something that other species could not fully understand. It was a combination of determination, curiosity, and raw energy, a fire that burned beneath ordinary flesh. Today, the humans arrived in a sleek transport ship, its hull painted a reflective silver that mirrored the surrounding stars. The docking bay was crowded with alien observers, each species curious and wary. Some had multiple eyes, some had tentacles, and others had translucent skin that shimmered with internal light. They whispered to each other in strange languages as the humans stepped onto the platform. The humans moved with purpose but without hurry. Their leader, a tall woman with dark hair and a steady gaze, commanded attention without raising her voice. She was Captain Alara Voss, and the aliens would soon learn that her presence alone was a force to reckon with. Among the alien observers was Xylar, a telepath of the Zelvian species. Zelvians were known across the galaxy for their extraordinary ability to read minds. They could sense thoughts, emotions, and memories, often within moments of contact. Xylar was among the best, careful, precise, and exceptionally skilled. Today, Xylar had a unique assignment: study the humans. For the first time in millennia, a Zelvian would attempt to touch a human mind, to probe their thoughts and understand what made them tick. Xylar watched as the humans paused to greet the alien delegation. There was no fear in their stance, no hesitation. While other species often displayed nervousness or subservience when meeting aliens of higher status, these humans simply stood tall, their gazes steady. Xylar tilted their head, intrigued. Most species gave themselves away through body language, their minds spilling secrets even before contact. But humans were different. With a careful step, Xylar approached Captain Voss. The telepath's skin shimmered faintly, a Zelvian signal of focus. "I am Xylar," the alien said, the words calm and measured. "I am authorized to observe and communicate. I wish to understand your mind." Captain Voss inclined her head slightly, her expression unreadable. "I am Captain Alara Voss. Welcome to Arendor," she replied, her voice firm but polite. She did not flinch, did not step back, did not show even the slightest hint of fear. Other aliens nearby shifted uneasily at the display of human composure. Xylar extended a hand, a standard Zelvian gesture for mental contact. Normally the act was simple: a touch, a thought, and the telepath could see the target's memories, emotions, even instincts. But as soon as Xylar's fingers neared Alara's arm, something unusual happened. A surge of energy, a force far stronger than anything Xylar had experienced, swept through their mind. It was a storm of images and sensations. The memory of humans fighting against impossible odds, their fear transforming into courage, their pain morphing into determination. Xylar staggered backward, their eyes wide. Other Zelvians nearby gasped, recognizing the signals of extreme mental stress. "Impossible," Xylar whispered, though the sound was barely audible. "No mind should be. Like this." Captain Voss remained calm, almost serene. She had learned that her species carried a hidden strength, one that few others could perceive. Humans could endure extremes of fear, pain, and uncertainty, and their minds could project this strength outward in ways the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Xylar's collapse was the first public demonstration of that power. The surrounding aliens murmured in alarm. Some had approached humans in the past, but none had dared to probe their minds directly. Even the thought of telepathy against a human had been theoretical, until now. Xylar's reaction was proof that humans were not merely fragile creatures. They were formidable even without weapons. Recovering slowly, Xylar forced their focus. Their mind, normally steady and disciplined, was still reeling from the intensity of human thought. You are unlike any species I have encountered," Xylar said, voice shaking slightly. "Your mind, it is dangerous. Ilara tilted her head, a small smile appearing at the corner of her lips. "We are humans," she said simply. "If you truly wish to understand, you will need to prepare." She turned to her crew. "Stay alert. Let them see only what we allow." The Zelvians exchanged worried glances. Xylar, the most skilled among them, had faltered. Others would surely struggle even more. It was becoming clear that human minds were not only resistant to probing, but could actively overwhelm even the most advanced telepaths. Xylar regained partial composure and tried again, this time cautiously. They focused on observing without intrusive contact, letting their senses sweep over the humans from a distance. What they found was astonishing. Humans were layered with emotions that were both raw and controlled. Their memories were vivid, often replayed with clarity, yet they could shield their thoughts when necessary. There was unpredictability in every mind, a spark that could ignite fear or inspire awe. "Captain Voss," Xylar said, this time more composed, "your species, it is unlike anything we have studied. Tell me, how do you maintain such control over your own mind?" Ilara's smile widened slightly. "We survive," she said. "That is our nature. Fear exists, but it does not control us. Danger exists, but it does not define us. Our minds are trained, our instincts sharpened, and our courage is not optional. It is necessary." The Zelvians and the other aliens observing felt a ripple of tension. Humans did not merely react to fear. They transformed it into strength. For the first time in history, aliens realized that the human mind itself was a weapon, not one of destruction in the usual sense, but one of sheer psychological force. Xylar, though still recovering, could not help but study Ilara with renewed respect. Every thought, every memory projected a sense of purpose, unity, and resilience. It was terrifying and mesmerizing. Xylar's earlier collapse was not weakness. It was a glimpse into the raw power of the human psyche. As the humans moved through the station, other aliens attempted to follow, to study them covertly. But Xylar's warning had spread quickly. "Do not touch, do not probe, do not assume you understand." Humans' minds were not open books. They were storms, unpredictable and overwhelming. Those who tried to glance too closely found themselves startled, anxious, or simply unable to comprehend the experience. In the observation lounge, alien diplomats debated quietly. Some were fearful, suggesting humans be treated with extreme caution. Others were intrigued, eager to learn what this species could achieve. "If their minds are truly this dangerous," one alien whispered, "what else are they capable of?" Meanwhile, Captain Voss remained serene, walking with her crew as though nothing unusual had occurred. She knew the impact of their first encounter would be lasting. The galaxy had underestimated humans, assuming their outward simplicity reflected weakness. Now the first impression had shattered that notion entirely. Xylar, seated in the observation bay, reflected on what had just occurred. The telepath had experienced something no other being in the galaxy had: the raw, unfiltered intensity of a human mind. Fear, courage, determination, unity, they all combined into a force that could make the strongest alien telepath stumble. It was a humbling revelation. "I must report this," Xylar muttered to themselves. "The Council must know. Humans are exceptional." Captain Voss, aware of the subtle movements around her, knew that their visit would not be ordinary. Aliens would watch more closely, analyze more thoroughly, and perhaps fear more deeply. But she also knew this was exactly what humans had intended, not to intimidate, but simply to be themselves. Humans had survived for countless generations in hostile worlds, faced countless dangers, and now the galaxy was beginning to see the result. The humans' quiet confidence, their subtle display of strength, and the telepathic shock they had caused were only the beginning. In the days to come, the aliens would come to understand that humans were not only survivors but pioneers, warriors of mind and spirit, and forces the galaxy could neither ignore nor underestimate. As the sons of Arendor bathed the station in light, Xylar looked back at the humans one last time before retreating to report their findings. The alien telepath could not erase the images from their mind. Humans standing firm in the face of impossible fear, their eyes bright with unspoken courage. For the first time in Xylar's long life, the telepath felt a combination of awe and terror, an awareness that the galaxy had just met a species unlike any other. The Arendor space station buzzed with quiet tension. The aliens who had witnessed Xylar's collapse moved cautiously, whispering in their strange languages. Some hovered nervously near observation windows, while others gathered in private chambers to discuss the unprecedented event. Humans were unlike any species they had ever encountered, not because of their technology or weaponry, but because of something far deeper, something they could feel even without touching a human mind. Captain Alara Voss and her crew were aware of the whispers. They could sense the curiosity, the fear, and the growing caution in the alien delegation. But they did not worry. Humans had always relied on their instincts, their courage, and their ability to adapt. What the aliens did not yet understand was that the human mind was as resilient as their bodies, as unpredictable as their actions, and as forceful as any weapon in the galaxy. In the observation deck, Xylar recovered from the previous encounter. Though still shaken, the telepath's natural curiosity was stronger than fear. Xylar had seen humans at their most defensive, and it had terrified them. But it had also sparked a hunger to understand. "I must study them further," Xylar muttered, pacing. "They are beyond comprehension. I cannot explain the intensity, the force. It is living fear and courage at once." Other Zelvians in the room looked at Xylar with a mixture of skepticism and awe. "Are you saying that a human can resist our minds?" one asked, their voice quivering. "That they can overwhelm even the most trained telepath?" Xylar nodded slowly. "It is not resistance alone. It is projection. Humans can project the very essence of their survival instincts outward. It is not just a mind shield. It is a storm, and I could not withstand it." Meanwhile, Captain Voss convened a private meeting with her crew. "They are curious," she said calmly, "but their curiosity comes with fear. They think they can control minds, probe thoughts, and dominate intelligence. They will learn soon that humans are not easily understood." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Aaron Holt, leaned forward. "Do you think they'll try again?" he asked, concern in his voice. Alara smiled faintly. "They will. They cannot resist the urge to probe what they cannot understand. But we will be ready. They will see only what we allow, and they will feel only the strength we choose to show." Back in the observation lounge, Xylar had persuaded a small group of alien delegates to attempt indirect study. They would observe the humans from a distance, using advanced sensors and telepathic instruments that did not require direct contact. Even at this distance, however, the instruments detected something extraordinary. Humans emitted subtle mental signals, waves of emotion and intent that were impossible to suppress entirely. It was as if their thoughts carried a resonance that could influence any mind nearby. Xylar adjusted the instruments carefully. "Focus on observation only," they warned. "Do not attempt to penetrate their minds. That is where the danger lies." As the humans moved through the station, the aliens watched closely. Each human carried themselves with a quiet confidence. Their eyes scanned the environment, alert to every movement, every sound. They were aware of being observed, yet they did not alter their behavior. Unlike other species, humans did not act out of fear of judgment. They acted according to their instincts and training. From the sensors, the Zelvians recorded something remarkable. Humans were simultaneously aware of multiple stimuli, processing danger, opportunity, and strategy in ways that seemed to surpass any logical system. Their mental patterns were complex, adaptive, and unpredictable. Xylar leaned forward, astonished. "It is not just their courage," they whispered. "It is their awareness, their speed, their creativity under pressure. It is unlike anything we have ever recorded." Elsewhere on the station, a young alien scientist named Velen tried to study a human child who had accompanied the crew. The child, small and seemingly innocent, laughed at a floating holographic display, oblivious to the scrutiny. Velen reached out tentatively, hoping for a brief mental read. Immediately, the child's simple joy projected a wave of vivid sensations into Velen's mind. Memories of family, play, and curiosity surged forward in a way that Velen could barely process. The young Zelvian stumbled back, shaking. I cannot. This is too strong," Velen admitted. "It is overwhelming." Captain Voss, observing from a distance, spoke softly to her crew. "Humans project more than thoughts. We project life itself, our experiences, our emotions, our instinct to survive. It is a natural defense, and it is why they cannot probe us easily." Back in the observation lounge, Xylar regrouped with their team. "We need to understand the full scope," Xylar said, their voice firm now. "We will not touch them directly again. We will observe, measure, and analyze, but we must prepare for eventual contact. Humans are powerful in ways we do not yet comprehend. As the humans navigated the station, other species began to take note. A delegation of Kravinians, known for their logical precision and lack of fear, tried to analyze humans from a distance. Yet even they could not ignore the subtle influence. Something about humans caused an inexplicable tension in the air. It was not overt threat or aggression. It was presence, certainty, and the quiet but undeniable force of unyielding will. In one corner of the lounge, an alien elder whispered to a colleague, "These humans, they carry the essence of survival in everything they do. Even when still, they radiate strength. They are not to be underestimated." Xylar nodded grimly. "And yet we must study them. They will change the galaxy if left unchecked, and we must know why." Meanwhile, Captain Voss and her crew prepared for a demonstration. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. They would allow a small, controlled interaction, not to intimidate, but to reveal just enough of human capability to be understood. Humans had long learned that raw strength was not always necessary. Perception could be as powerful as action. The aliens, unaware of the plan, watched from observation points. Xylar felt a mix of curiosity and dread. They had seen what a single human mind could do when touched directly. Now the humans were preparing to show their abilities deliberately, but in a way that would allow the aliens to comprehend, rather than collapse in terror. Captain Voss stepped forward, meeting Xylar's gaze. "We will show them who we are," she said quietly. "Not to scare, but to teach." And so the humans moved through the station, calm and composed. They spoke politely to alien delegates, smiled when appropriate, and observed everything with careful attention. Yet beneath the surface, their minds were alive, ready, alert, and capable of producing forces that the galaxy had never imagined. Xylar watched, fascinated and anxious. "They are preparing," the telepath murmured. "I can feel it. Like a storm gathering, restrained yet powerful." The aliens observed cautiously, noting every nuance. For hours the humans interacted with decorum and patience. They did not lash out or boast. Yet every action, every glance projected the essence of their species: resilience, courage, unity, and an almost instinctive intelligence. Even without direct contact, the aliens began to feel the subtle pressure of human minds around them. Velen, who had earlier attempted to probe the human child, now approached more cautiously. The child noticed and smiled, innocently extending a small hand. Velen hesitated, then withdrew. The gesture was harmless, yet it carried a resonance that the young alien could not explain. Humans, it seemed, radiated connection and presence in a way that influenced those around them naturally. Captain Voss, observing from a distance, noted the reactions quietly. "They are learning," she said. "They are seeing us, measuring us, and they are beginning to understand that humans are not ordinary." Xylar, feeling the same effects, realized the truth. Direct contact was dangerous, but observation alone revealed power. Humans did not need to attack to be formidable. Their very minds, their focus, and their instincts were enough to create awe, caution, and fear simultaneously. By the end of the day, the alien delegates had witnessed a transformation in their understanding. Humans were not simply intelligent or adaptable. They were unpredictable, resilient, and astonishingly strong in ways no other species could measure. And at the center of it all was Captain Alara Voss, calm, confident, and entirely human, embodying the potential of her species. Xylar, now fully recovered from the initial shock, reflected quietly. "This is only the beginning," they whispered. "If one human mind can do this, what will a world of humans do?" And so the stage was set. The galaxy had begun to notice humans, not as primitive creatures to be catalogued or studied, but as a species capable of extraordinary mental power. A species whose minds could inspire awe, incite fear, and command respect without firing a single weapon. As the twin suns of Arendor dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the station, the humans remained calm and vigilant. They had shown enough to impress, but not enough to dominate. The aliens, meanwhile, could not help but feel the quiet truth settling in. Humans were unlike any other species, and the galaxy had yet to see the full extent of what they were capable of. The encounter was not violent. It was not loud, yet it had changed everything. Humans were not only present, they were a force, waiting to be understood, and the universe had taken its first, cautious step into acknowledging it. The Arendor station had quieted after the first day of observation, but the tension in the air remained thick. Alien delegates whispered in corners, sharing rumors about humans, about their minds, their instincts, and the unusual power that even Zelvian telepaths could not contain. Among them, Xylar prepared for what could be the most daring mental experiment in the history of the galaxy. Xylar had spent hours reviewing the recordings from the previous day. Every subtle movement, every glance, every unspoken intention of the humans had been analyzed. What Xylar discovered was astonishing. Humans did not merely resist mental intrusion, they responded to it. Their minds had a built-in force that could project fear, courage, and instinctive energy outward, affecting anyone who attempted to probe too closely. It was unlike any telepathic reaction the galaxy had ever recorded. Yet Xylar was determined. The telepath's curiosity outweighed the fear that still lingered from the first encounter. "I must try again," Xylar said, voice low and steady. "If I do not, we will never understand humans. And the galaxy must know the truth about them." The aliens agreed reluctantly, setting up a controlled observation chamber. Humans would be guided into the room and seated with minimal distractions. Only Xylar would attempt contact, with the other telepaths observing from a safe distance. Every precaution was taken, though none were certain what to expect. Captain Ilara Voss entered the chamber calmly, followed by her crew. She gave the alien observers a polite nod but did not break her composure. The humans had trained for situations like this for generations. They were calm under pressure, aware that their mere presence carried a subtle but powerful influence. Xylar stepped forward, extending a hand. "Captain Voss," the telepath said, their voice carefully measured, "I wish to attempt contact once more, but this time I will focus and proceed with caution." Ilara studied Xylar for a long moment. "We will allow it," she replied. "But remember, what you encounter is not aggression, it is survival. You will see the human mind as it truly is. Prepare yourself." The telepath hesitated, then nodded. Taking a deep breath, Xylar reached out and touched Ilara's arm just lightly enough to establish contact. Almost immediately, a flood of sensations poured into Xylar's consciousness. It was not merely thoughts. It was a storm of fear transformed into courage, of confusion sharpened into clarity, of memories and instincts layered in rapid succession. Xylar staggered, their skin shimmering with mental strain. The telepath had anticipated resistance, but this was beyond anything recorded. It was as if the human mind could overwhelm, analyze, and project all at once, like looking into a mirror of raw energy, impossible to escape. The alien observers gasped, stepping back from the monitors. Some shields activated automatically as a precaution, but even these protective barriers could not fully contain the intensity. Xylar's eyes widened, the telepath visibly struggling to maintain composure. "Focus," Xylar whispered to themselves, voice trembling. "Just observe. Do not react." Ilara remained calm. She did not push, she did not resist actively. She simply allowed her mind to exist fully alive and unshielded. Her thoughts were natural, instinctive, and honest. Memories of training, of survival, of facing dangers and overcoming them. Each thought projected outward with strength, a force of human will that Xylar had never experienced before. Suddenly, the telepath collapsed backward, their body crumpling to the floor. Even at a distance, other Zelvians felt the shockwave, a ripple of overwhelming intensity that made them dizzy and disoriented. Some covered their eyes, some stumbled backward, and a few whispered frantic warnings to each other. Captain Voss knelt briefly, observing Xylar's reaction. She could sense that the alien had reached a limit, and she allowed them the space to recover. "This is your warning," she said softly. "We are not weak. We are not simple, and we are not to be underestimated." Xylar's recovery took several minutes. When they finally opened their eyes, they were pale, trembling, and filled with awe. "Impossible," the telepath muttered, voice shaking. "I have never encountered anything like this. Your mind, it is immense. It is not just defense, it is force, projection, life itself." The room was silent for a moment. Even the other humans remained quiet, sensing the profound effect their leader's presence had had. Captain Voss finally stood, her posture calm, her gaze steady. "You have seen only a fraction," she said. "Our minds are strong because our species must be strong. You will learn if you wish that humans endure, adapt, and project strength in ways few can comprehend. The alien observers, shaken but fascinated, began discussing what they had witnessed. Words like unprecedented, formidable, and beyond comprehension floated through the air. The Zelvians, usually confident in their mental abilities, admitted that humans had presented a challenge unlike any other. I felt their courage, Xyler said finally, still sitting, voice low. It is tangible. It reaches outward, it touches the mind, and it overwhelms even the most disciplined telepath. No species I have encountered can do this. A Kravanian diplomat known for logical reasoning stepped forward. If this is true, they said cautiously, humans are not merely resilient. They are a species whose mental strength can alter perceptions, influence reactions, and command respect without physical confrontation. They are a force in their own right. Captain Voss allowed a faint smile. It is not a choice, she said. It is survival. Our minds are our first line of defense, and our instinct to survive has been honed for millennia. You will find that the more you attempt to control or probe us, the more you will discover this strength. Xylar, still recovering, nodded slowly. The telepath's mind had been exposed to the full intensity of human mental energy, and it was a lesson in humility. Humans were not merely survivors. They were pioneers, strategists, and warriors in ways the galaxy had yet to understand. The aliens decided to continue indirect observation rather than attempt further direct contact immediately. Even the most cautious telepaths agreed that human minds were a dangerous field to probe recklessly. Sensors and recording devices captured the patterns of thought, the flow of emotions, and the subtle projections of mental energy. Each recording revealed more complexity, more unpredictability, and more raw power than the aliens had ever imagined. Outside the observation chamber, Captain Voss and her crew discussed what had just occurred. They will tell others, Lieutenant Holt said, concern in his voice. They will warn their species that humans are dangerous. Yes, Alara replied. And they should. Humans are not meant to be underestimated. If the galaxy believes we are simple or weak, they will be surprised, and some may not recover from that surprise. Meanwhile, Xylar sat quietly in a recovery room, replaying the experience over and over. The telepath had touched a human mind again, and the intensity had been nearly unbearable. They are extraordinary, Xylar whispered. Fear, courage, instinct, unity, all combined into a force. I cannot fully describe it, but I know this. Humans are unlike any species we have studied, and they will change the galaxy if we do not understand them. That evening, as the twin suns of Arendor cast long shadows across the station, the alien delegates gathered to debate their next steps. Some suggested extreme caution, others proposed careful study, and a few even admitted a sense of awe. The humans had demonstrated that raw strength was not the only measure of power. The strength of the mind itself could shift perspectives, influence actions, and leave even the most skilled beings shaken. Captain Voss, observing from a distance, understood the significance of the day. The aliens had glimpsed only a fraction of what humans could do. Yet that fraction was enough to leave a lasting impression. Humans had not raised weapons, they had not shouted, and they had not threatened. But they had displayed power. The power of courage, instinct, and survival projected in a way that no one could ignore. Xylar, finally rising to their feet, looked back at the humans once more. The telepath's expression was a mixture of respect and caution. They are incredible, Xylar murmured, and we have only begun to see what they can do. The galaxy must be careful. Humans are not ordinary. They are extraordinary in ways we may not yet be ready to face. The night fell on Arendor, and the humans remained vigilant. They had shown enough to command attention, but not enough to dominate. Their presence alone had demonstrated their strength, and the aliens had learned that attempting to control or probe humans directly came with a cost. Captain Voss gathered her crew. Today they learned a lesson, she said quietly. Tomorrow they will learn more, but we will remain calm, prepared, and ready. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. Now they will begin to understand who we are. The aliens, still processing what had occurred, began to whisper among themselves. Humans were no longer simply a species to observe. They were a presence, a force, a mystery, and perhaps a warning. And in the quiet of the station, as stars twinkled beyond the observation windows, humans remained composed, aware of the subtle waves they projected. Their minds were alive, vigilant, and ready. The first true encounter of power had occurred, and the galaxy would never be the same. The events aboard Arendor Station spread quickly through the network of alien communications. Messages, alerts, and whispers traveled from system to system, reaching councils, fleets, and even academic institutions. The humans had arrived quietly without weaponry or demands, yet their presence had created ripples that no species could ignore. In the capital of the Zelvian Empire, Zyler's report was read aloud to the Council of Elders. Every detail was analyzed: the initial collapse, the subtle projections of human mental energy, and the overwhelming power felt by even the most skilled telepaths. The council chambers were silent as the implications sank in. Humans were not just another species to catalog or study. They were a force that could influence minds, inspire caution, and even instill fear without a single weapon. An elder, his translucent skin flickering with nervous light, spoke first. "We have underestimated them," he said. "We assumed their simplicity reflected weakness. We assumed they were primitive, but this is beyond anything we have known. Their minds are dangerous." Zyler, standing at attention, nodded solemnly. "It is true. Humans project strength naturally. Their mental defenses are only a portion of their power. They can overwhelm a telepath's focus even at a distance and project courage, determination, and instinct outward. I have never encountered a mind like this, and I have studied thousands of species." A younger Zelvian leaned forward. "Dangerous? Do you mean to say they are aggressive?" Zylar shook their head. "Not aggressive by choice. They are defensive, resilient, and instinctively strong, but their power is undeniable. Any attempt to probe their thoughts directly can result in collapse, shock, or disorientation. It is not a threat of violence, but of mind. Their presence alone affects perception and reaction." The council murmured among themselves, realizing the truth. Humans were a new category of power in the galaxy, one that could not be measured by conventional standards of technology or fleet size. Even the most advanced civilizations had never encountered a species whose mental strength alone could alter the behavior of others. Meanwhile, news of the humans' abilities reached the Kravanians, a species renowned for logic and strategy. Their analysts reviewed recordings of the interactions on Arendor, noting the subtle patterns of human thought and projection. "Remarkable," one scholar said quietly. "Humans demonstrate a resilience and instinctive force that rivals, and in some ways surpasses, our own mental calculations. They are extraordinary." In other systems, fleets preparing for diplomatic missions paused. Officers consulted sensors and archives, seeking any record of similar mental phenomena. None existed. Humans were unique, and the galaxy's understanding of intelligence, power, and survival was being challenged. Back on Arendor, Captain Ilara Voss and her crew continued their daily routines, aware of the attention they had drawn. They navigated the station with calm purpose, meeting alien delegates, observing protocols, and engaging politely. Yet beneath their composed exterior, their minds remained alert, projecting strength subtly without overt display. Humans did not need to dominate to be noticed. Their presence was already commanding respect and caution. Lieutenant Aaron Holt observed the aliens' reactions and whispered to Ilara, "They are talking about us everywhere. Everyone is analyzing our minds, our behavior, and they are scared. Do you think they will attempt contact again?" Ilara smiled faintly. "They will try, yes, but they will be cautious. Humans are not weak. Our minds are our first line of defense. Let them learn slowly. Let them respect what they cannot fully understand." In the observation chamber, Zylar prepared another report, this one to be distributed galaxy-wide. The telepath knew that the information would spread quickly. Humans' abilities could not be hidden, and the story of their mental power would alter relationships, alliances, and strategies. Zylar wrote carefully, noting the facts without exaggeration. Humans' mental strength was extraordinary, their instincts honed by survival and their resilience unmatched. Any species attempting direct contact needed extreme caution. Elsewhere on the station, other alien species reacted in different ways. Some were fascinated, eager to study humans further and understand the source of their abilities. Others were cautious, fearful of provoking reactions they could not control. A few whispered about potential strategies to test humans in controlled ways, though even these were careful to avoid direct mental intrusion. As days passed, humans continued their diplomatic interactions. They spoke calmly, smiled politely, and observed quietly. They did not boast or threaten, yet every alien present could sense an underlying force, an instinctive energy that radiated from the humans naturally. Observers found themselves adjusting behavior, moving cautiously and reconsidering assumptions. The humans' quiet confidence and subtle projection of mental strength were already rewriting perceptions of power. Xylar, reviewing new data, realized that humans were not only resilient individually but formidable collectively. When multiple humans interacted, their mental presence amplified. The telepath could detect subtle synchronization in their thoughts, patterns of cooperation, mutual awareness, and instinctive coordination. Humans were capable of not just personal defense but group influence, projecting cohesion and strength outward to influence those around them. One young Zelvian scientist asked, "Do they intend to harm us?" Xylar shook their head. "No, humans are not aggressive in the way we think of it. They are protective, instinctive, and aware of their strength. They do not need to harm to assert themselves. Their presence alone is enough to command attention and respect." This understanding spread through the galaxy. Reports reached military leaders, scientists, diplomats, and explorers. Humans were being observed, analyzed, and re-evaluated. Fleets on routine patrol paused to consider new protocols. Academics debated the implications. Strategists adjusted calculations. Humans were no longer a minor species. They were a phenomenon. Captain Voss, observing this from her ship's bridge, reflected quietly. "They are learning," she said to her crew. "They are beginning to understand that humans are not simple. But they will learn more, and that understanding will come gradually. That is how it must be. Respect is earned, not demanded." Her crew nodded. Each had seen the effects firsthand. They understood the subtle but powerful influence humans could project, and they knew that the galaxy's perception of humanity was changing, whether the aliens realized it yet or not. In the days that followed, humans were invited to participate in discussions across multiple species. Delegates approached with caution, aware of the stories they had heard. Some attempted careful indirect observations, studying patterns of behavior, movement, and subtle cues. Others simply observed from a distance, noting the calm confidence and the almost imperceptible aura of mental strength that humans projected. Xylar continued to monitor every interaction, fascinated and cautious. The telepath realized that humans were not just extraordinary. They were redefining the very concept of influence and strength. Even without physical confrontation, humans commanded attention, altered perception, and inspired both fear and respect. A Zelvian elder spoke privately to Xylar. "We must be careful," the elder said. "If humans continue to demonstrate this power, other species will react. Some will approach diplomatically, some with fear, and others with aggression. We are witnessing a turning point in the galaxy." Xylar nodded. "I understand, and we must document it accurately. Humans are not to be underestimated. Their minds are not ordinary, they are exceptional." Meanwhile, Captain Voss and her crew continued their work, quietly influencing perceptions without aggressive display. They met alien scientists, answered questions, and participated in joint research. Every interaction was subtle, every word measured. Yet behind the calm exterior, their minds projected the essence of human resilience, courage, and unity. Across the galaxy, reports continued to flow. Humans were discussed in academic halls, strategy councils, and diplomatic chambers. They were no longer unknown or underestimated. Their mental strength, their instinctive courage, and their subtle influence had been observed and documented. Humans were becoming a species that others would respect, fear, and seek to understand. On Arendor Station, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon once more, the humans gathered in their quarters. Captain Voss addressed her crew quietly. "The galaxy is noticing us," she said. "They are learning that humans are not ordinary, but they will only truly understand through experience. And when they do, they will know what it means to face a species like ours." Her crew listened, aware of the subtle but profound effect they had already made. They understood that their power was not in weapons or technology, but in their minds, instincts, and courage. Humans had quietly changed the rules of perception, proving that true strength could be both invisible and undeniable. And as the stars twinkled beyond the station windows, humans remained vigilant, calm, and fully aware of the attention they had drawn. The galaxy had begun to notice, and it would take time for others to fully comprehend the implications of meeting a species whose minds were as strong, resilient, and unpredictable as their spirits. The story of humans' mental power would continue to spread, reaching systems far beyond Arendor. Fleets would adjust, scientists would analyze, and diplomats would approach with caution. The galaxy had begun to change. Reports of humans and their unusual mental strength had spread through countless star systems. Fleets adjusted their patrols, diplomats approached with caution, and scholars debated the implications. Everywhere the same realization emerged: humans were unlike any species that had been encountered before. On Arendor Station, Captain Ilara Voss observed the growing attention with quiet confidence. She and her crew had settled into a rhythm of diplomacy and observation, aware that every interaction was being analyzed, recorded, and interpreted by alien observers. But the humans did not feel fear or pressure. Their strength lay in calm focus, in the certainty of who they were, and in the quiet power of their minds. Lieutenant Aaron Holt glanced at the monitors, noting messages from across the galaxy. "Reports are pouring in," he said. "They're talking about us everywhere. Some fleets are even changing routes to avoid direct contact until they understand us." Ilara nodded. "Good, let them learn slowly. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. Now they will understand carefully, deliberately, and in a way that will leave a lasting impression." Meanwhile, Xylar and other Zelvian telepaths were busy sending out detailed reports to allied species. Xylar's notes emphasized the subtle but immense mental projection of humans. It was not merely defense or reaction. It was instinctive, coordinated, and undeniable. Any species attempting direct contact without caution risked collapse or overwhelming mental strain. Alien scientists and strategists pored over these reports, realizing that humans were redefining the rules of interstellar interaction. Unlike any other species, humans did not require dominance through fleets or weapons. Their minds alone, through focus, courage, and instinctive projection, could alter perception, command attention, and inspire respect. In the weeks that followed, humans participated in formal interstellar meetings. Alien diplomats approached with extreme care, aware of previous incidents. They spoke politely, asked careful questions, and observed human reactions. Yet even without overt demonstrations, humans projected presence, coordination, and subtle power that reshaped the discussions. A Kravanian scholar whispered to a colleague, "It is not just their minds. It is their unity. Their instinct to survive and their courage radiates outward. We cannot predict their next thought, and that unpredictability itself is a kind of strength." Xylar agreed quietly. "They do not need to attack. They need only to exist as humans. Their very essence carries force, and it is unlike anything we have catalogued. This will change the way the galaxy approaches all interactions." In the observation lounge, alien fleets debated cautious approaches to humans. "We must treat them differently," an officer said. "Their influence is subtle but undeniable. We cannot risk probing their minds or testing them recklessly. Even a small misstep could result in chaos." The humans, aware of these discussions only indirectly, continued their work. Captain Voss led her crew through scientific collaborations, cultural exchanges, and strategic consultations. Every action, though calm and non-aggressive, demonstrated human resilience and adaptability. Aliens took note of their mental coordination, their instinctive clarity under pressure, and their composed courage. During a demonstration of interstellar communication technology, a human scientist explained a complex process to a room full of alien observers. While speaking, subtle patterns of thought projected outward from the humans, memories of problem-solving, focused teamwork, and instinctive understanding. Even without direct interaction, the aliens in the room experienced a sense of mental tension, admiration mixed with cautious fear. Xylar, observing from a distance, whispered to a colleague, "They project strength without trying. It is instinctive. This is what terrifies many of us, not aggression, but control over the very perception of presence and competence. They are extraordinary." Elsewhere, fleets received reports of humans' calm authority during diplomatic negotiations. Alien commanders, expecting hesitation or fear, instead encountered measured confidence and subtle mental influence. Humans guided conversations, coordinated responses, and projected a quiet strength that caused others to reconsider assumptions and recalibrate strategies. Captain Voss observed one such meeting. "They are learning," she said quietly. "They now know that humans are not simple creatures, but they have yet to understand fully. That understanding will come gradually, and it will be lasting." Back in the Zelvian Empire, Xylar continued monitoring human mental activity. Telepaths noted that when humans were together, their mental cohesion amplified. Even simple tasks like coordinating movements or sharing observations projected a sense of unity and awareness that influenced nearby aliens. It was subtle, almost invisible, yet undeniable. A young Zelvian apprentice whispered in awe, "They do not speak loudly, they do not threaten, yet their presence dominates the room." "How is this possible?" Xylar replied quietly, "It is instinct, courage, and unity. They survive because they must, and in doing so, they have developed abilities we cannot fully understand. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. Now it is learning." As the humans traveled from station to station, their reputation grew. Reports of their mental projection, coordinated instinct, and calm authority reached distant star systems. Scholars debated, fleets adjusted protocols, and diplomats approached with caution. Humans were no longer simply a species among many. They were a force to be respected, studied, and approached carefully. On one planet, a conference of alien leaders discussed potential threats. "We must reconsider how we interact with humans," one elder said. "They are not aggressive, but their minds can influence, unsettle, and command respect. This is power we cannot ignore." Xylar, attending remotely, added, "Humans are not hostile by nature, but their instincts and courage are formidable. They redefine the concept of influence. Any species underestimating them risks failure." Meanwhile, Captain Voss prepared her crew for the next stage. "We have made our presence known," she said. "The galaxy knows we are capable, strong, and unified. But we must continue to demonstrate our values: intelligence, cooperation, and resilience. Strength is not just what we project, it is how we act together as humans." Her crew nodded. They had seen the effects firsthand. They had felt the subtle influence they carried, the careful balance between observation and projection, and the growing respect and caution from alien species. They understood that humans' power was not in dominance but in clarity, courage, and instinctive unity. In the months that followed, humans became a reference point across the galaxy. Scholars wrote about them, fleets prepared differently for interactions, and diplomats adjusted their strategies. Humans had proven that mental resilience, courage, and instinctive projection were forces as effective as fleets and weapons. Xylar reflected quietly. "The galaxy has seen only part of what humans can do," the telepath said. "Even at a distance, their minds influence us, guide us, and challenge our understanding. They are extraordinary, and they will change everything, whether we are ready or not." Captain Voss, observing alien delegates at a collaborative meeting, knew this was true. Humans had made their first impression quietly but powerfully. They had projected strength without aggression, commanded attention without threats, and demonstrated that courage and unity were as important as any technological advancement. In a final reflection of the day, she spoke to her crew. "We have shown them who we are," she said. "Not to frighten, not to dominate, but to be understood. The galaxy is learning that humans are not ordinary, and when they fully understand, they will respect us not because we demand it, but because we have earned it." The stars beyond Arendor shimmered quietly. Humans remained composed, their minds alert yet calm. The galaxy had begun to notice. Fleets had begun to adjust, and alien species had begun to rethink assumptions about power, influence, and survival. Humans had redefined fear, not by threatening, but by demonstrating extraordinary mental strength, instinctive courage, and unity. And in that quiet confidence, humans had secured their place in the galaxy, not as a species to be feared in anger, but as a species to be respected for their extraordinary resilience and presence. The universe had witnessed the power of human minds and spirits, and it would never underestimate them again. Captain Voss looked at her crew one last time that day. "The galaxy knows us now," she said softly, "and they will never forget it." The humans had redefined what it meant to be strong, not with weapons or fleets, but with minds and courage, with unity and instinct. And the galaxy, slowly but surely, was beginning to understand that humans were a force unlike any other, impossible to ignore, impossible to underestimate, and unforgettable in every way.